Hello, my fellow weirdos. Um, my hair is insane. It's just all raining out and stuff, so it's just gone bonkers. Um, this is another video about Senator Cory Booker, one of my senators. Um, okay. I know I've made yesterday, uploaded early this morning, some videos about this. I, and not just myself, but obviously quite a few people, have been very upset that after he did that filibuster, that, oh god, I boasted. Y'all heard me. And anybody else's videos that I saw that mentioned, I'm like, that's my senator. I was proud as hell. Um uh when he did this at Q&A on the impromptu on the Capitol steps, I was like, again, my senator. But then he voted. Was he the only one? I think, or he. Well, one of the things he voted yes for is the crypto bill, which is like really not cool, not good, because you don't give fascists, neo Nazis, you don't give um, white supremacists, you don't give them a millimeter. I don't care if whatever it is, confirmations or anything. No, 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 no. Unless it's Jesus Christ being confirmed. No. Literally, Jesus Christ being confirmed, then no. If he ain't glowing on the stand, then no. And I've only been able to leave voicemails for the last few days at Cory Booker's offices. I'm just not catching them at the right time, or maybe they've got a lot of, I don't know. I caught somebody today because the other thing that even more so that people are not happy with is something he could have easily voted no for, because you either agree or you don't agree. The Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's father, being assigned as being appointed as the ambassador to France. France is one of the few countries that are still like willing to even talk to the United States at this point, and try to get them back somewhat pointed at the right way, the correct way, not the right way. And I actually got a person. I actually called two of the offices, and there wasn't a person taking the calls for whatever reason. They were on another line, whatever. But I called one more. I'm like, just call the other office. 3 calls for one rep, and but it was like 4:20 or something. So who knows? It's later on in the day, But the last one, somebody answered, and I talked to him, and I told him. I mean, he tried to interrupt, but I said, "Let me just get it out, so I get everything out first before he address stuff." He's like, "Okay," because I'm on my soapbox now, and I just need to finish it right now, okay? And because it's not like I have it written down. It's just like when I'm on that mode, just get out of the way, get off the track until I'm done, and then when I stop, we can discuss, okay? It just helps. Otherwise, with the neurodivergent ADHD, sometimes I distract myself, or I get distracted, because I get involved with what you're asking. I didn't finish what I was gonna say. So, and he's like, okay, and I finished about the Kushner thing. I was like, and he says, well, he did make a comment this morning. I was like, oh, he did. Oh, okay, because I haven't seen anything. He goes, yeah, it was already. I was like, okay. But granted, I did all my stuff this morning, and then I come in around this time, check to see what else has happened, because I'm not 24/7 with the, politics stuff. Anyway, and my internet was down earlier, so I guess there was some sort of, I saw it in my text, there was some disturbance, and I did have to reset. Um, and he said, "Oh, you can look it up." He goes, "But if you can't remember it, But what he said was, yeah, in the past, and I said, I know. He said in the past he has really fought for reform in like criminal stuff to make things work better. And to be fair, yes. Um, but I just let him talk, and he says, and this, that, and he did do a lot of contribute. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna say one thing. I do know that. I mean, he contributed to Corey, so I do get. So I said, I'll let you finish, but that right there, is what I'm gonna address. So go ahead and finish, and he did. And he says, no, go ahead. I said, I don't mean to interrupt you, just that I'm neurodivergent and I distract myself sometimes, so I don't need other people distracting me. So he said, no problem. We laughed. Hey, at least I acknowledge it and I can recognize it a lot of the time now. Um, Even if I don't stop it, at least I can say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Um, it's not that easy to stop before it comes out. All of you neurodiverges out there know what I'm talking about. But I said, okay, now that's what I want to talk about. He did that because, see, he was too close to it. I said he was too close. He was like not a third party. And I said, I'm 62. I'm older than him by a little bit. But just listen. I said, because believe me, I've been out there for different things by different people. And I've learned that you can't do something that involves another person's character and go by the way they used to be. And that goes both ways. He did some really good things. Then he did some bad things like federal crimes, the white collar kind of shit. Then I said, what Corey needs to understand is, what has Charles Kushner, since he was convicted of those crimes and then pardoned by another criminal for said crimes, what has he done from the time he was convicted till now that made Corey want to think that he would do a good job? Because it's not the person he used to be. He's not voting and saying, yes, he should get that job on the person Charles Kushner used to be. It's who Charles Kushner is today, now. Because that's the Charles that's getting the job. That'll be doing that job. Do you understand what I'm saying? He says, yeah, I think I do. And then I said it just a little bit of a different way. It's like, it's like, okay, I said, Epstein. He didn't always traffic in little girls. I mean, when he was 11 and 12, I'm sure he did some good things. But does that discount what he did since then? No. The shirt. I've lost weight, and now some of my shirts are like super big. This is my painting shirt. But I just had to get onto I didn't even want to change. I just really had to get this out. Because I just got off the phone with them. And I said, so that's what I'm trying to say. Corey needs to understand the person that donated to some of his campaigns, the person that helped do those reforms, is not the person he is today, and it's not the person that's going to be the ambassador to France. France. It's the person that he is since he's been convicted that's going to be. It's the convicted felon that was pardoned by a felon that's going to be the ambassador of France. It's not the guy he used to know and at least have some respect for. And that is what is upsetting us. Because Corey is not seen at third party because he was somewhat involved with him some time ago. I mean, I can feel being indebted a little bit, and you think, well, it's not like he's got any, but he does have important shit in his hands as an ambassador to a country. Some people don't take the job seriously, and I said, does that make sense? That it's the principle of it. Who is the man now, not who he used to be? Because the person that they used to be is not doing the job right now. It's the person they are that's doing the job. Or will be. And he goes, oh, no, I do get that. I said, does that make, I mean, I said, I know because you're working, for your volunteer or paid, it doesn't matter, you're still working for a person, a candidate, so, or a politician, so you can't put your bias in it. I get that. I said, but does it make sense to what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not asking, do you agree with it or disagree? I'm just saying, does that make sense to explain how I'm explaining why people are upset? It's like, would you be able to say something about your cousin or, in public if everybody knew, it was like your cousin third removed or something? It just wouldn't feel cool that you did that to your cousin. But at the same time, what kind of person is that cousin? And he goes, no, I do get that. That does make sense. It makes sense. What people are upset about. It does make sense. I was like, okay. I said, just please, this is really important. It's not like I think I'm, the answer person or my insight is so, woo. But, sometimes you pick up people, we all do. Sometimes people pick up something that other people don't. I just happen to pick up on what he might be letting bias him, and he might not even realize that he has that indebted feeling because it was like back in 2005 or something. So, I mean, it's 20 years ago. So it's not like you're fully, kind of feel like you're tied to that person. You owe them something. But still, they did help when you were when you were needing support, and needing people to believe in you. And so I understand, Cory Booker, if you happen to see this, I do understand you having that feeling, and it could actually be subconscious that you didn't realize until you had to think about it, because it's been a couple days that people, before you made a statement. Apparently today they said you made one. But the gentleman who answered the phone and spoke with me, thank you for, I can get passionate. Thank you for not getting frustrated with me and letting me just say my whole spiel and ramble on, because I know I can do that, and but if I'm interrupted, even when I interrupt myself, I get distracted sometimes. So I do appreciate your patience with me. I do. Because hopefully maybe we'll be able to get Cory Booker to understand from me through you, to understand what a lot of the people have been saying. I mean, I might best be about, 500 something subscriber channel, but even channels that are like watched by millions kind of views type of thing have noticed it. I'm not talking mainstream. But I'm talking like the larger ones on YouTube. Um, and if they're noticing it, that's when I saw somebody mention that. I'm like, and then last night, a different one mentioned it, and I'm like, they said, I had a lot of respect for Cory Booker, but after he voted for those things, I don't know, man. And I was feeling the same way. I'm like, why would you do that? I I do understand about because I even knew about the contributions, but that was 20 years ago. Um, and so the only thing I can think of is either Corey, you just didn't see as a third person that ooh, you know, you didn't realize that people do. I mean, you realize that, but it's hard when it's somebody you've known, even if it was long ago. There's people. Let's put it this way: that I used to work with, 20 years ago, out in Arizona, and I worked with them for a decade or so. I thought I knew them pretty well, and even though it's decades later, you still kind of knew the basic kind of person they were. And lo and behold, half a dozen of them are like, "Holy shit, they're big on MAGA." How? They were so not that. Oh my god, they didn't believe in it. Holy shit! I I never would have taken them for like bigoted or misogynist. I'm like, oh my god. So people do change, and sometimes radically. And this is what I told this gentleman on the phone at Cory Booker's office. I said, look at Donald Trump. I said about the Epstein when he was a kid. He did, I'm sure, some nice things. Um, even Trump, a few decades ago, believed in a lot of things opposite of what he believes in now. He said, I personally don't believe in abortion, but I think that everybody should be allowed to be able to make that choice for themselves. I don't think we should be telling people what they should be doing with their own bodies. He's on interviews saying that as a in his 30s or 40s, even in his 40s. Um, but that's not the same person. So would you vote just because he used to have some good points? So you'd vote for him again because that's what he used to be? No, because what the person is. I said, that's what he said. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I do. I said, and I'm not saying, oh, you're so stupid, Corey. I'm saying you didn't see it, and I'm trying to tell you, you might want to look out for that. Because I've had therapy, okay? I don't know if he has, but that's something you learn. Um, that unspoken dialogue you have to yourself, subconscious, that drones on about shit that you're like, no, 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 I don't believe that. But it does. It drones on back there. So, let's say you grew up and around people that were very racist, and you heard these expressions all the time, but you weren't. Let's say they were family or something. You were young. You couldn't just leave. And even though you can't stand it, those phrases and stuff seem very, I don't want to say comfortable, but familiar to you, only because you heard people close to you all the time saying them, even though you didn't remember them. And that's what he's like, no, I do get what you're saying. It didn't occur to him that 20 years ago he might feel maybe more indebted than he thought he felt. Because he was hoping he was still the guy that he knew. But he's not. If he was convicted of federal crimes that were pardoned by a federal president, a federal criminal president, And so he said, no, I actually really will take this to him. And I know he will because, first of all, he goes, I have heard, he goes, we do go through the voicemails. In fact, your voice, I have heard your comments, your messages before. I was like, he says, so I know you can be very passionate. I said, yeah, you've heard my messages before. Sometimes I go past, it'll be like, beep, your 3 minutes is up. I'm like, arr. But I think by then they've gotten the point. But anyway, if you happen to see this Cory Booker, this is after the other ones. After I finally got to speak to somebody, and I had to call 3 offices today to get an actual person that wasn't on the line when I called. So he did explain that, and I do understand how that can happen, but please don't let that happen in the future, because there was a couple people that mentioned on a video, not mine, if somebody else's, that even said I was looking at Cory Booker maybe for president in 28. And he says, I was thinking, he goes, but not now. Absolutely not now. Not if he's going to waffle like that. And I'm like, ooh. So, if that is not who you are, Cory Booker, you better say something maybe a little more. Maybe what I said might be true. Maybe you were just a little closer, or felt a little more ingratiated, indebted. Maybe you think maybe him supporting, that was not the person that he apparently is anymore. And any of us can make that mistake, Senator Booker, any of us. We're still human, okay? And when we've known somebody and they used to be one way, and then decades later they're a different way, you don't always see that because you knew them before. You might not see that right away. But if you hear this, if you see this, or you get my message, I really want what's best for my state and for my country. And we're all wondering, you were such good material, and to vote for those 2 things are really upsetting. We still don't, I don't know why you did the crypto thing. I would like an answer on that. Why you agreed for Charles Kushner's confirmation. I can understand, like I said, of that issue, but why did you vote yes on the crypto thing? Crypto is crap. It should not be encouraged. It should not be encouraged. Just like AI should be strictly watched, especially as it's delving into the fine arts, music, writing, literature, acting, drama, storytelling, painting, sculpture. It's delving into all of this and trying to better itself. Why? Especially in their big, beautiful bend you over bill, they have a caveat of you can't regulate AI for 10 years. Maybe start asking why before you start agreeing to that too. I hate saying that. I really, really was hoping you were not going to be, let's put it this way, one creator, one journalist said they now feel that you're in the Jared Moskowitz category for them. That's not good. Because as good as Jared Moskowitz is at totally cornering and embarrassing the Republicans, he also flip-flops and votes yes for things that it's like, what? So that's why, when we say the Jared Moskowitz, they means like, you really can't be counted on to do to be on democracy's side. I don't want to say Democrats' side. I'm saying like a democratic democracy. You know, so if that's not who you are, if you're not another Jared Moskowitz, you might want to. You're not ahead of it, but you won't get too far behind it if you readdress it with the knowledge that maybe you made at least that vote on who the person used to be, and that was pointed out that maybe I was putting too much of that in my decision. But as far as voting for the crypto, I still want an answer for that, Senator Booker. I do. Because I really want to know your rationale on that. Are you for crypto? Because he wants to, make it currency, dude. I ain't doing that. And there's a lot of us. We ain't playing that shit. Okay? We are not going through a whole new freaking currency shit that isn't even, laudable. It's not. It's not. It's just no. Good God, I was the generation that you were trying, that we were supposed to switch over to metric, since it's only us and two other places that do use this method. And you taught us. You made us learn metric and start learning all the different shit. And then we were supposed to teach our parents it. And our parents just were recalcitrant in learning. So you were trying to teach our parents through us, instead of just having classes and teaching the parents. And that's why everybody was like, just forget it, this is too hard. Because instead of doing the job yourself and informing your adult people in your country, they failed and they tried to get the kids to learn it and then teach it to their parents. What the F? Well, that fell apart. You saw how that worked. Maybe you should have done adult education things and required everybody to go to one. Huh? Maybe that. Y'all, you may be older, but you need to keep starting to think, I thought I was behind. Because I'm not into all the multiple some, but, podcasts and the pod bros and all this bro tech bros and whatever bro. But God, apparently I'm not as bad as some people. Y'all gotta get on it, Corey. Senator Booker, man. You gotta address this or readdress it, because I think you were too close to him at one point, or had too much respect or gratitude maybe to him at one point, but after a certain point he started falling backwards, and you just have never seen that. I just don't think it registered. But I do want to know why you voted as you did on the crypto thing, because that's totally, I'm befuddled. I'm totally boggled. I'm really, my flabbers are gasted. I really would like to know.